Well, everybody, and pull up a chair. Encourage you to put your headphones on. If you're watching this or listening to this later on this awesome Friday, encourage you to get in a comfortable place. Maybe turn up the audio, turn down everything else. Get off of Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, Netflix. I'm Amazon, Google, whatever, and spend these few minutes here together with me talking about maybe I'm average and that's okay. So, how are you, my dear friend? My name is David Trigg on this lovely Friday, March 1st, here just to continue this journey of this podcast, of this new way to interact with you here through YouTube. If you are on Facebook or Twitch or Periscope, I invite you to come over to YouTube so that you can interact. You can also leave me a comment here in this little box to my whatever left so that you can also see your comment live here in this live stream. I've been listening to, I think I mentioned this yesterday, to all these podcasts that are just popping up everywhere, it seems like to me. And what's awesome about these podcasts is that they're also on YouTube, meaning there's a live feed of the video. And I love that because it's both beautiful audio, which you can hear just through your headphones. Maybe you're listening to this as a podcast, or you can just watch. And some of these, I would say all the ones that I enjoy and that most of us tend to enjoy, are made by people that are just very entertaining, fun to look at. I'm not talking about they're beautiful people per se. I mean, some sure, but they're just interesting people and engaging. Some are very smart, some are kind of silly. And I mentioned a few of the ones that I listened to in the last episode, so make sure that you check that out. But regardless of whether you listen to to podcasts or not, or if you're watching this or not, if you are one of one, if you're no one, regardless of all those numbers, I believe that this format is powerful. At least what I am looking for and what I love about the ones that I'm watching is because they're powerful, because they're honest. And I have always been accused of being honest. And I say accused only because it's such an anomaly for spiritual Christian people to be honest, right? I mean, the whole point of being a Christian, if I can just be crude, is to be dishonest, is to hide. I don't quite know why that became our thing, but it really is. I can't count. Well, let me say this. I can count in my hand one time in the last, let's just say 5 years, that someone was almost honest with me. Almost. Not even truly honest, but that's as close as it got. And so I hope that I can be honest. And now, am I afraid of being honest? Of course, because anytime that a Christian person, a spiritual leader is honest, then all everything goes bad. People criticize people, and a lot of it is just even self-induced stuff, meaning it's stuff that the spiritual person, thinks about in terms of how others judge him. And it's true. You're going to have maybe 25% of the people out there, maybe less, maybe more, judge me or you or whoever if you're really honest. And of course, there are levels here to honesty. I don't have no need to be honest with you or with anyone, just to be honest. It's all about moving the conversation forward, especially in this case, to move the conversation forward with regards to why aren't you honest? What are you hiding? Why do you feel that to be spiritual and go to church or be this spiritual person that you have to hide? Is it because you feel guilty that you're not further along than you really are? Is it because, I don't know, you think that if you're honest, you're going to give in to those things? I don't know. It'd be interesting. Maybe leave me a comment below on why are you dishonest? You're like, I'm not dishonest. Sure. We all are. So what I love about these podcasts that I've been listening to and watching as I said, they are all very spiritual, ironically, mostly coming from a semi-Christian background. They're not, though, Christian podcasts. These are not like Bible studies or devotionals, so not by a long shot. But I love them because of the honesty. And you know what happens when we're honest, at least in these particular podcasts that I listen to? There's a high level of spirituality and of seeking for God. And I find it to be almost like, if we're going to use our religious terms, almost like in like a Bible study per se. There is no Bible, there is no Jesus mentioned. Sometimes there are no real. It's not about Buddhism or even New Age or atheism. Most of these are from, as I've said before, they're from comedians, and they're interviewing mostly other comedian types or other people in the news. The Joe Rogan podcast probably being the most popular. I listen to him the least of all these, but I do enjoy his podcast. Maybe it's one of the top 3 on my list, and the reason is because the same thing, honest conversations that go in and out of faith, sexuality, current events, politics, Trump, of course, religion, everything that matters to us as humans, relationships, your family, your race, all of these things that in our world today are so compartmentalized. Do you not talk about race? Of course you do, but only with those 2 friends that laugh at your jokes, or with your family. Do you not talk about sexuality? Yes, but only in your thoughts, or only with that one thing you do or watch or think about. So what I love about these podcasts and these YouTube podcasts is that they bring all of us, including faith, they bring all of themselves into the conversation. It isn't this segmented thing, which I find so, so dishonest, because how do you not bring all of you into a conversation with somebody else? And so obviously then we get into, well, I don't trust that person. And that is, I would say, the biggest problem with most organizations. This is not just church. I mean, are you honest at work? Of course you're not. Maybe with that one friend at lunch or whatever. Maybe. Although I see people having lunch all the time. And you know what happens when people go to lunch that work together? They ignore each other and they're on their phones. Okay, that's what men do. If the women, because women are more honest and more open, they will talk about just surfacey type things or safe things. And there's no judgment on that. I mean, that's how we survive. I mean, we all have a mechanism on how to survive in this world and how to bring down our level of fear or of anger or of anxiety or of joy in the things we love, our lusts, our true thoughts about people and whatever it may be. So there's no way I can accomplish all of that on my own with you, but I've been trying for many years to have this line, this pipeline, this meaning this camera and this microphone and you watching or whatever. I mean, I have like 0 viewers except my sister and my mom. So hola. But regardless, the point is we have to have, and I have to say, I hate the word honest. Because honesty is it's like saying love or race or sex or politics. You immediately have this positive or negative view of the word. And I think the word honesty is one of them, but maybe not. Maybe the word honesty works for you. It works for me for the most part. I think the word dishonest is the one that works for me primarily because I identify with it the most. I'm hardly honest. I live a dishonest life most of the day. If I was honest, I would have to face all my fears. my own, what you think, all these things all these constructs that we deal with of opinions. And I mean, back to the one person or the one moment that I remember as almost honest. You know what happened? Right at the last moment, this person said, I don't know if I want to be honest with you. And they stopped themselves from actually going to that place of honesty. And guess what? If he and I had gone to that place of honesty, our relationship, our friendship, this was maybe like 6 months ago, would be 1,000 times better. It's a great friendship. I love this man. We're good friends. But my point, because I've done this myself, I've been honest with a few people in my life. And those relationships I will always remember, even though I don't even see some of these people anymore in my life. I remember this one guy that I never see, but I will always remember him because I was honest with him about something that was shameful, that was not something I wanted to talk about, and I probably, hopefully, will never talk about again. I think that what is amazing about honesty is that it levels the playing field. It takes the spiritual leader off the pedestal, which is the gospel, God becoming flesh. Talk about coming off the mountaintop. But it also elevates the sinner up to a place of acceptance. It brings equality. As I say, as you know, again, this is a Christian cliche, but it works. It says the earth is leveled at the foot of the cross, or the path is leveled, something like that. I don't even know it that well, but the point is that before Jesus, you and I are the same. Whatever view you have of me as a spiritual leader or not, and whatever view I may have of you as a sinner or not, it doesn't really matter when we can be honest and stop being dishonest. And so I love that conversation, or these podcasts, because of this freedom that I find so refreshing, that I find nowhere. I mean, I love sermons. I love church. I'm addicted to church, maybe too addicted to church and sermons. And I find them mostly, I would say that church and sermons, including mine probably, are mostly like hype, like positive thinking in Jesus' name. Nothing wrong with that, because truly the gospel is positive. And I don't think there's anything wrong. We need that. What it's lacking, not what the gospel lacks, but what us as presenters of the message, and maybe even you as a listener and what you expect, what it lacks is honesty, is realness, is authenticity. And I don't know why. It really is a mystery to me, because it's not as if dishonesty is working. Have you noticed how our churches, my guess is whoever's listening to this, you are a church person, but have you noticed how 9 out of your 10 friends could care less about your church? No matter how awesome or not awesome it is, they just don't care. That's if you even have relationship with people that are not in church, because that's what happens. The more churchy you become, the older you become, the less friends you have. So, but assuming that you have obviously family that don't go to church, you can just think of them, your kids, grandkids, your friends, cousins. They don't go to church because your church isn't cool. They don't go to church because they don't care. And why don't they care? Because the people, the preachers, the people, whatever, were not honest, right? And people used to call us hypocritical. And maybe that's true, but I would say it's mostly about dishonesty. Now, what happens if you're honest in the world, at work, is that you get fired, right? If you're honest at work about your boss, you probably are going to be looking for a new job, and that's not good. If you're honest at church about your life, you're going to be put in some purgatory or some special class for sinners. And so the options aren't very attractive If you are a spiritual leader and you're honest, you're probably going to be looking to sell insurance because the constituency expects you to be perfect, to talk perfect, to act perfect. That's just at the surface. That's the game that we all play. But what people really want is to know that they're accepted and not judged for who they really are. Is there anything more attractive than being known and accepted? To be known for the 10 things that make you, at least to the best of your knowledge, right? That make you, you. All of the anger, all of the hate, all of the porn, all of the over shopping, overeating, all of the anger, all of the pride, all of the 9 lusts, 7 lusts, Proverbs, 9 in the Enneagram, familiar with that. All of the vices, all of the virtues, all of the laziness, all of the fear of missing out, all of the overfeeling, all of the over pride, whatever, right? To be known 1 to 10 or 1 to 9, whatever, for let's say you deal with all of them like I do, or maybe you only deal with 1 or 2, you're more advanced. That is such a thing. That is a thing. And isn't it beautiful to be known for your vices and to not be judged? And then imagine even further, to be loved in spite of your vices, and to then be recognized, not like some award, but to be known, to be acknowledged for your virtues, that you are so patient because you've been through impatience and you've been through hate and anger and division. And so you've come a long way through Jesus and through his love and his grace and his forgiveness. Isn't that beautiful? Of course it is. Have you ever experienced that? You probably have, during a message here, during a song there, maybe in your own time in the car with a song, or maybe with a friend where you feel so heard and so understood. There are levels to this complexity. There are levels to this longing. We don't all start with this depth of desire to be known. At first, we want to be accepted at work or with our friends, and at church especially. So we play the game of, in churches, okay, I give and I show up and I help. I mean, that's how you become accepted at church by God, apparently, or by, I guess, the leaders, is if you do those 3 things. If you give a little bit, if you show up a little bit, and if you help a little bit, then you're good, right? You don't have to really be honest, because you have the appearance, the social norms of acceptability. So all is good, all is well. But if one of those things isn't there, then you're rocking the boat suddenly. And now we're suddenly aware, we peek into, oh, maybe there's more to you than just those 3 things. Same thing happens at work. How do you keep your job? Well, show up on time, do your job, and dress professionally, right? I mean, you have these certain things you have to do and perform to keep the norm and the drama and the theater going. If any of those doesn't happen, if you suddenly stop showing up to work, what happens? Well, someone calls you and, are you sick? Are you okay? What's going on? Do you need help? If you show up disheveled or without makeup or sleepy-eyed, hey, is your health? Do you need to take some medicine? Are you sick? And if you don't do your job, then you have a supervisor who's saying, hey, what's going on here? You need some help here. You need to shape up here, bro, right? So all these things begin to happen as you come, all these things are necessary in order for you and me to be acceptable before God, church, jobs, family. The same thing happens, right? If you're married, or with your parents, or with your friends, same thing happens. You have these social norms that make you feel somewhat acceptable. But what happens when one or all of those things is gone? Or maybe it goes down from 100 to 80 to 30%. What if you're not smiling, or you're not the one buying lunch for everybody else? What if you're not the one who can help? And then you feel guilty, or people make you feel guilty. And yet maybe you're living in your truth. You're saying, this is a real me. I actually hate church. I actually don't like those songs, or I don't even like my job, or I don't even like my husband, I don't even like my friends. Or maybe it's the opposite. I really love music. I really love God. I actually really want to change my majors and do art and not be a doctor. Or maybe the opposite. I don't want to be an artist. I want to be a doctor and have a more steady career. Whatever your truth is. And so these podcasts that I've been listening to, they're so, as I said, honest, but I would say maybe the next level, or I don't know if it's a pyramid, then another layer to the honesty is they're congruent. They are, every part of humanity is in that hour and a half. And that's the other thing I love. These are long, like real conversations. They're an hour and a half, 2-3 hours sometimes. And I love listening to tits and bits, whatever you call that, pieces of this. Or sometimes I'll just at night, I'll maybe listen for 2 hours. I'll stay up till like 12 or 1 a.m. just feeling so refreshed by the honesty and the, as I said, the integrity, meaning that every part of humanity is in that hour. It's incredible. And you feel unjudged. And yeah, there's some things that I just close my eyes and I turn it down. If I'm in the car, sometimes, I listen with my family and it's like music, you listen to a rap song or a country song, whatever. And something, you mute it, right? I mean, it's the same. Yes, it's not gospel. It's not church. Sometimes even in church, you sometimes wish you could just press mute, right, on the preacher or the song or whatever's being said. I mean, so everything should have a mute button in church or in life, I mean. But what I mean is that, yeah, these things are irreverent at times, but I would say for the most time, for the most part, they are so reverent. Reverent to humanity, reverent to the whole of us, reverent to the complexity of faith and of spirituality and longing for God. And yes, of Jesus and of most of these people, I would say you could say they have left what we would consider church, but they have the same questions that you and I have, the same exact questions. The biggest difference is that most of us, like I'm sure you as well, you've been through that, especially if you're now in your 40s, 50s like I am. You've been through those ups and downs. You've asked those questions. Most of these are younger people, 20s, 30s, some 40s, but mostly 20s and 30s. You've been through that, and now in your 40s and 50s, you're back to the beginning, perhaps, or maybe you're at a place further down that returns to Jesus, where you feel like, I don't care about all these things. Jesus is still. Not that you don't care. That's not what I meant. You care about your depravity, your crazy life, your past, all these things that you deal with, and all the hate and all the anger and the race and the politics and Trump and all these things. But yet you found your hope in Jesus once again. Maybe you never left. Maybe you're one of those that was lucky enough to never have left. I left for a good 5 years. I was like, I'm done with this. And some never come back. By the grace of God, I came back. Maybe you never left. Regardless, I think as my online mentor, Peter Rollins, often used to say, you have to have the, what is it he called it? The faithfulness of betrayal. I think that's what he called it. How he talks about Judas and how Judas was maybe the most faithful of the disciples because he actually betrayed Christ. He was true to himself. He called it the fidelity of betrayal. And neither Peter Rollins nor am I suggesting that we should all betray Jesus, but my point, or his point, was that in order to be faithful in 2019, you have to betray, meaning leave behind who you were in 2009 or in 1999. Definitely certain opinions and racist views or prejudices, or, oh, Madonna is amazing. Now you're like, oh, maybe she's not that amazing. At 65, still dancing up on stage, Those that hang on to every little thing are the ones that become the problem, dogmatic, and hurt and divide others. And we all know people like that. So I think the hope for this podcast is to be able to come to a place of honesty, of integrity. I think those are at least a couple of steps here. Let me write these down as I think of kind of what we're doing. Integrity, honesty. Let me say the first level is honesty, and maybe the third level is probably love. Obviously that's eventually what we're going to be doing is coming to a place of love and of honesty, integrity, love. So that's a little bit of what we're going to hopefully be doing this year. We're going to be having more conversations, not just me looking into a camera, but hopefully just you kind of looking into a conversation of people looking to implement these things or to pursue honesty, integrity, and love. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. I will see you next time.